Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lubnaya here bringing to you this news bulletin on Channel 2, starting off with the headlines. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi conducts a phone call with Bahraini King Hamad bin Al-Khalifa. Foreign Minister Abdulati warns against current escalation in the region during the 51st round of OIC Council meeting. Israeli occupation forces says an Iranian drone had struck a residential building in the north. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held a phone call with Bahraini King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa. The presidential spokesperson said the call addressed the latest regional developments. The two leaders expressed deep concern over the ongoing escalation between Israel and Iran, warning of the potential for the conflict to expand, which would have severe consequences for all countries in the region. They also stressed the need for all parties to act responsibly and work toward resolving the crisis through negotiations and peaceful means, while emphasizing the importance of the international community fulfilling its responsibilities in this regard. The call reaffirmed the deep ties between Egypt and Bahrain, as well as the commitment of both countries' leaderships to strengthen them across all fields. Under the slogan Organization of Islamic Cooperation in a Changing World, the 51st round of OIC Foreign Ministers Council convened in Turkish capital Istanbul with the participation of Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration, Egyptian expatriates Badr Abdulati. Addressing the meeting, Foreign Minister Abdulati warned against the current escalation that will lead the region into an unknown future and into a wider conflict in the region that leads to unprecedented repercussions on regional security and stability. He added that the Israeli attack against Iran results of negotiations passed in Muscat that aimed to reach a peaceful solution for the Iranian nuclear program. He pointed that Egypt stresses that there is no military solution for this military and condemned Israeli continuous attacks against Iranian nuclear installations, which violates the international humanitarian law. Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Abul Ghait, stressed that the region is witnessing a critical phase. In his speech at the 51st round of OIC Ministers' Council in Istanbul on Saturday, Abul Ghait said that Israel is returning to square one by imaging that aggression alone brings security and that peace can be imposed by brute force. Arab League chief condemned the military campaign launched by Israel against Iran at a time when everyone was searching for a diplomatic solution that could be reached with a degree of patience. Arab foreign ministers denounced the military escalation in the region, warning of its repercussions on regional peace and security. This came during a statement issued by the extraordinary session of the Arab League Council at the ministerial level on the sidelines of the 51st round of the OIC Foreign Ministers Council in Istanbul. The Arab League Council called for a rerun to negotiations to reach an agreement on the Iranian nuclear file. The Arab foreign ministers stressed that the only way to resolve crises in the region is diplomacy and dialogue. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said on Saturday that Israel's attacks on Iran right before a new round of nuclear talks with the United States aimed to sabotage the negotiations, and it showed Israel did not want to resolve issues through diplomacy. Speaking at a foreign ministers meeting of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Istanbul, Erdogan urged countries with influence over Israel not to listen to its poison and to seek a solution to the fighting through dialogue without allowing a wider conflict. He also called on Muslim countries to increase their efforts to impose punitive measures against Israel on the basis of international law and the United Nations resolutions. In his word, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan told his counterparts from Muslim countries that Israel was dragging the region into total disaster with its attacks on Iran, and added the world powers must prevent the war from spiraling into a wider conflict. He called for an end to the unlimited aggression against Iran, underscoring the urgent need to prevent the situation from deteriorating into a spiral of violence that would further jeopardize regional and global security. Israeli occupation forces said Saturday that an Iranian drone has struck a residential building in the north of the country following a wave of attacks. The National Public Diplomacy Directorate, which is overseen by Israel's Prime Minister, has acknowledged 50 impact sites. At least 19 people were injured in Haifa on Friday following a strike on a building by the city's docks. The northern Israeli port has been frequently targeted, along with coastal hub Tel Aviv and southern Be'er Saba. In separate statements, the Israeli occupation forces reported several drones had been sighted and intercepted at locations in northern Israel mid-morning on Saturday after a barrage of 40 drones overnight. Iran is aiming to get nuclear weapons. Putin said in an interview that Russia, as well as the International Atomic Energy Agency, has never had any evidence that Iran is preparing to obtain nuclear weapons, as we have repeatedly put the Israeli leadership on notice. Putin also said that Russia is ready to support Iran in developing a peaceful nuclear program, adding that Iran has the right to do so. Israeli occupation fire killed at least 44 Palestinians in Gaza, many who were seeking food aid, while the United Nations Children's Agency said the scarcity of drinking water was at a crisis point. Meanwhile, the UN's Children's Agency, UNICEF, warned in Geneva that a shortage of fuel to operate wells and desalination plants in Gaza meant the enclave is facing what would amount to a man-made drought. More details. The Iranian city of Sumy as a part of a bid to carve out a buffer zone along the border. Russia currently controls about a fifth of Ukraine, including Crimea, more than 99% of the Luhansk region, over 70% of the Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson regions, and fragments of the Kharkiv, Sumy, and Dnipropetrovsk regions. Asked about fresh Russian advances, Putin told the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum that he considered Russians and Ukrainians to be one people, and in that sense, the whole of Ukraine is ours. In the world of business, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli stressed that the government exerts the utmost effort to secure the state's needs of natural gas through enhancing the infrastructure potentials to receive imported liquefied natural gas. The Prime Minister added the move aims at boosting the efficiency and flexibility of Egypt's gas supply system to meet the growing domestic demand, particularly during the high-consumption summer months. The Prime Minister's remarks came during an inspection on Saturday at Ain Sukhna port, where Madbouli emphasized that these efforts are part of a broader integrated package of measures being implemented by various ministries to ensure the stability of the national electricity grid. He particularly highlighted the importance of energy security in light of recent regional developments, notably the Israeli military attack on Iran. During the tour, Prime Minister Madbouli inspected the LNG regasification vessel Energos Eskimo, reflecting the government's commitment to strengthening energy security and ensuring the sustainability of gas supplies. The premier was accompanied by Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Karim Badawi. Global equities were mixed, while oil prices retreated as markets weighed the latest developments in the war between Iran and Israel. Markets rose after U.S. President Donald Trump said he would allow for up to 2 weeks before possible U.S. military action against Iran. Both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq finished lower following a choppy session, and the European equity markets mostly rose while Asian markets were mixed. The Brent International crude benchmark contract dropped more than 2% after Trump's remarks, with investor relief following fears that the United States could immediately join the Israeli campaign. Crude futures had soared and global equities slumped in recent sessions as the Israel-Iran conflict showed no signs of easing, with investors pricing in the risk of tighter oil supplies that would likely weigh on the economic growth. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of our news bulletin. I'm Lumna Yahya, and you are watching Channel 2.